Vikas, I am not
आवाज
getting the
आवाज
sound.
नहीं आ रही विकास.
विकास अभी there is no sound.
Yeah, sound is missing.
The Indian Association of Structural Engineers, also known as ASE-IAStructE, was conceptualized and constituted in the year 2002 by a group of senior professional structural engineers from all over the country. ASE-IAStructE is registered under the Societies Registration Act 21 of 1860. ASE-IAStructE is a national apex body of structural engineers in India with a mission to promote structural engineering profession and cater to the professional needs of the structural fraternity. In the short span of 2 decades, association has attained an eminent position in the professional field. Its membership is valued very highly in the profession. Since inception, ASE-IAStructE has been led by eminent structural engineers like late Shri Mahendra Raj, late Shri Kumar Ghosh, Shri Subhash Chand Mehrotra, Professor Mahesh Tandon, Shri Alok Bhaumik and Shri Manoj Mittal as its president. ASE-IAStructE is a permanent member of Engineering Council of India and interacts with the government on professional and policy matters related to civil and structural engineers. To expand its reach, ASE-IAStructE has collaboration with various international professional like-minded associations and institutions. ASE-IAStructe's prime objective is supporting and protecting the profession of structural engineering by upholding professional standards and acting as a mouthpiece for structural engineers in India. ASE-IAStructE endeavor to ensure that its members develop the necessary skill in structural engineering and work to the highest standards by maintaining a commitment to professional ethics and standards. ASE-IAStructE is actively engaged in organizing several continuing professional development (CPD) courses for structural engineers to help them update their knowledge and advance their career paths. It also conducts refresher courses for young and practicing engineers and student-oriented programs, seminars, workshops, conferences, technical lectures and discussions related to the latest technological advancements and case studies are also organized regularly for members to enable them to continuously update their knowledge and skill set by interacting with the best minds from the industry. ASE-IAStructe's activities are widely appreciated and known for quality technical contents. ASE-IAStructE is also actively engaged in publishing its quarterly journal Structural Engineering Digest (SED), code commentaries, professional guidelines and a monthly newsletter. ASE-IAStructe's publications are becoming popular with time. ASE-IAStructE has representation in various technical committees of BIS and IRC as well. Its members are actively contributing to National Code of Formulations. In the year 2020, ASE-IAStructE started National Awards competition to stimulate interest in the structural engineering field and to promote innovative thinking and creativity. The awards are presented to the winners in recognition of their outstanding contribution to structural engineering in the categories which include Outstanding Structure, Outstanding Structural Engineer, Outstanding Woman Structural Engineer, Promising Young Structural Engineer, and Best Master's Thesis in Structural Engineering. ASE-IAStructE is currently operating from 4 regional centers, namely Eastern, Western, Northern, and Southern, having its headquarters in Delhi to inculcate the professional culture and provide handholding to the budding engineers. ASE-IAStructE has its student chapters in several leading engineering institutions as well. Membership of ASE-IAStructE is open to all civil and structural engineers engaged in structural engineering profession. Members are elected based on their qualifications and experience in different grades as per eligibility requirements prescribed in the bylaws. Each application is carefully scrutinized before electing the members. More information about ASE-IAStructE is available on its website www.ASE-IAStructE.co.in.
Hello, good evening to all of you who have logged into the meeting today, and my colleagues on the panel, as well as our main speaker, Mr. Abhijit Kulkarni. This is about a program that ASE-IAStructE launched in January this year, and this is for accreditation of structural engineers. This is the third orientation meeting that we are having today. And I am not sure whether those of you who have logged in today were also present earlier, but if they were, I'll be repeating a few basics about the scheme in the next 2 minutes or 3 minutes. This program was launched, as I said, in January 2023, this year. The candidates who have bachelor's degree in civil engineering, recognized by All India Council for Technical Education, University Grants Commission, with a minimum of 5 years of relevant professional experience in structural engineering, are eligible to participate in this program. This accreditation will help structural engineers to set a benchmark of proven professional and technical excellence and raise the levels of structural engineering practice in the country. This is our expectation from this program. The candidate who participates, registers for this program, must go through a 3-step process to get accreditation. The first is to submit a duly filled in application form along with the initial professional development forms as per the defined 12 key attributes. These 12 key attributes have been talked about in earlier meetings and also will be focused upon today briefly. The second step is firstly to submit, after acceptance of the above application, the IPD supporting documentation. And following this, to clear the professional review interview, which will be conducted based primarily on the documents submitted. This is something, again, about which Mr. Kulkarni will be telling us about in detail what is expected in this interview. The third step is to clear an open book examination in physical mode. The examination will be a 7-hour long examination and will have questions drawn from a set of subject areas. Upon successful completion of the process, which means going through the interview successfully as well as the examination, the practicing structural engineer will be recognized as accredited structural engineer ASE-IAStructE. Now, today's session, as I just mentioned, is going to be, our speaker is going to be Mr. Kulkarni, Abhijit Kulkarni, who will be explaining to you, firstly, in brief, the key attributes and their implications. We have talked about in detail earlier about this. And another session we had, which talked about IPD forms earlier. It may be touched upon again today. But today's meeting primarily is to tell us a bit more in detail what is expected from the interview, in the interview process, as well as examination process. That's the purpose of the meeting today. As I mentioned, our main speaker today is Mr. Abhijit Kulkarni. He's project principal and country director, Structures Bureau, Happold. And the panelists today are beside me, Mr. Manoj Mittal, who is immediate past president, ASE-IAStructE, Mr. Alok Bhaumik, past president, ASE-IAStructE, and Mr. Umesh Rashirke, who is a member of the governing council of ASE-IAStructE. Our president, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, has not been able to join because of some preoccupation, and also I don't believe Mr. Gupta is able to make it. So with these few words, I will invite Mr. Kulkarni to kindly make his presentation to us, following which we will have a question and answer session.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. If you can just say thumbs up or somebody confirms it that they can
Yes,
hear
yes.
me well.
Loud and
Okay.
clear.
Excellent. Let me share my slides. And I'm putting this in. I hope you are able to see it in full screen mode.
Not yet.
Not it.
Okay. Share. Right,
Yeah.
Now it is. Yes.
now it
Now
is
it's-
better. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, now it is so.
Yeah. So what I would do is, we had 2 sessions in the past, and this is a 3rd session. So the first session was more to do with talking about key attributes. Second session was more to do with how to fill in the portfolio document. So I'll touch upon that, just a sort of a reminder, and you can see these sessions on YouTube. So it's available for free. And then we'll go to the topic of today's discussion, which is the interviews and how to face what are the expectations in the interview, and then examination. So as Professor Krishna said that, it's a program that has launched earlier this year to enhance the structural engineering, level of structural engineering, so to say, in India. And what we have tried to do here is put together a comprehensive program which allows people to collate their past experiences, format their, the work that they have done in certain attributes, find out where they lack, which was the moment you start formatting, it will help you to identify where you lack and then work towards it. So in a way, after you complete this, you will become more rounded structural engineer, and that's expected out of this program. Now, in terms of the key attributes, they are 12 in numbers, and they are divided into these 3 subcategories. There is engineering, then there is management and commercial, and then there is personal. And we know that based on experience, based on the career where you are in your career at the moment, maybe 3 years in the career, maybe 10 years in the career, candidate may not have everything 100%, and we acknowledge that. And the way we acknowledge it is we have mentioned here levels, that for each of these attributes, which are divided into three sections, there are levels given, and we expect for certain attributes, the candidate should achieve level 4, and then there are other attributes where level 3, level 2, and level 1. So effectively, these levels are increased order of knowledge and experience, and that tells you here that the competency level blue, which is the more preliminary set of level, where you see appreciation of legal aspects and appreciation of commercial issues. It's just an appreciation that yes, you understand that there is this, when you work in Indian context, when you're working in certain city on projects, there are legal aspects which you are aware of and appreciate. Similarly, commercial issues, you're not expected to have full-on commercial information, how to bid and how not to bid. It's good to have, but it's not mandatory. It's just appreciation. Then comes the competency level 2, where knowledge of understanding. So if you see there, those are in dark brown color or reddish brown color. And then you have competency level 3, which is an experience, which is where you should have done at least few tasks into those competency level 3, and competency level 4, which is the most primary important, which is you should have hands-on knowledge and experience and can deliver. So that's where, because we are saying chartered structure engineer or accredited structure engineer, we are talking about analysis, design, understanding of structural materials, concept solutions, and communication. These are 4 absolutely must have attributes. Then for each of that attribute, obviously you need to fill in the form, and this was explained more detail in the past. And when you fill in form, you should write reasonable information about what you have done as an individual. Look, this is an accreditation program for a particular candidate. So expected wording there is, I have been working, or I have done this, my contribution to this work is this much, instead of writing we have done it, our team was this and our team was that. Team will, you might have contributed, but it's not demonstrated on the document, and that's why the wording of this particular IPD forms are absolutely critical. The portfolio document itself, there are certain limitations, and you can go there on the ASE-IAStructE website and can find out what is maximum allowed, but expect it to be not significantly thick document, and you see some dimensions given there, number of pages given there. So what we don't want is tons of printouts of computer analysis. That's not acceptable, right? That's not what we are here for, right? That might be your design submission for some municipality. Even there, people don't expect you to do, but suppose they want it, that's where you submit. Here, what is expected is a project or a problem where you as an individual contributed to, and then you demonstrate that, you write in the IPD form, and then you provide supporting documentation saying that this is what I have done. And why it is critical, and I'll come to the interview time, that this is the document that will be submitted to ASE-IAStructE, and then this is a document that will be reviewed by the peers, and then you will be interviewed based on this document. So it is very much into your interest, as a candidate's interest, that you put in there, which is something that you have worked on, which that fair bit of information available with you, knowledge available with you, and you can demonstrate to the interviewers that if they ask you certain leading questions based on what you have written there, you should be able to demonstrate answers for that. So there was some discussion about schedules, interviews, and examination. I think you can find out that on a website as well, but basically we are talking about 2 cycles, and then there will be 2 cycles for interview on a given year and 2 cycles for test in a given year. But passing of interview is mandatory to appear for test. Now let's talk about interview, right? This is where what is our today's subject is. Now, when you apply, you will be communicated by ASE-IAStructE saying that you are eligible for this particular program. Then you pull together your portfolio document, IPD, and supporting documents. You send it to ASE-IAStructE, and then your interview date will be defined. So this will be about 2 hours interview, and the interview will be based on the portfolio document that you will submit. There will be 2 peers who would be interviewing you, and they can ask you question one by one. So you will be there sitting in front of two senior member of the fraternity, and then they'll be asking question on the portfolio document and the data provided within there. Now there might be some leading questions. Suppose you have submitted certain calculations or certain scheme design or certain communication letter. There might be some leading questions, and those leading questions will be asked during the interview process. So when you submit the document, portfolio document, this will be given to the selected or elected interviewers, and you will be notified that who are the people who are going to interview you. They will have these documents with them, one each, and then they will go through the document. They will have their questions ready before they come for the interview, and then they will be asking these questions to you. And then it is expected that once you have written there that I have done it, then you should have answers for the questions that you have. So it is in your interest not to overinflate it or underplay it, both ways. What is expected? Candidate will be asked to give a brief presentation in their career. This is good to have, that when you come there for interview, come prepared for some sort of a presentation. PowerPoint is what we are expecting. Just walk through your presentation. That is not part of the interview process, but it is more to introduce yourself to the interview panel, and it helps to set the scene. If you are experienced person in certain field and you say that I've been working whatever 10 years in certain field and this is what I've been doing, and showcase some of the projects, it gives a perspective of your career path to the interviewers, and the questions then becomes easy in terms of answering them, in terms of even setting up the questions. So a short presentation about your achievements, your career, then competency, the 12 key attributes, and this is where interviewer will ask you questions, and then post the questions whilst the interviews are asking questions. So somebody, say there are two interviewers, and interviewer one asks the question, interviewer two will take the notes. They will decide themselves. They will not let you know that who's going to ask questions. There might be leading questions asked from 1 to 2 interviewers, and then they will take the notes out of it. And the interviewers have certain guidelines how to take the notes, and that is something which is being developed in ASE-IAStructE as of now. So when they review, there has to be a standardization of how they review how they carry out the interview. So when the results come out of the interview, they are at par. So one person will take the notes, other person will ask the questions. There might be the first person taking note might ask some leading question, and then the interview process will be conducted in that manner. Important, you must pass the interview before you appear for exam. Now, some tips for the interview, right? Most important is you should know what you have submitted. There's no point putting jargons of words and sets of computer printouts. That's not expected, as I told you. You should know what you have submitted. Advisable to carry out a mock-up interview prior to attending this interview, and then maybe either your mentor or senior member of your organization can go through the document that you have, can ask some leading questions, and that will give you some idea about what sort of questions will come from the submissions that you have made. Bring in your photo ID. It's important that the interviewers may ask you to present that you are the right candidate they are interviewing. Be prepared to draw shear force, bending moment, axial force diagrams for a leading question, for a question that they may ask. This is, we are talking about accredited structure engineer. So we expect the person who is qualified for this has hands-on, structure design experience, who can understand the structure. We are not expecting them to do moment distribution analysis or three-dimensional finite element analysis. Simple logical shear force, bending moment diagrams, WL²/8 is good enough. The reason behind this is the person who is going to be accredited structure engineer, that person should be able to make out how the forces are flowing through a structural system. It might be complex when you really analyze it, but before you analyze, as they say, you should know the answers before you really analyze it, because you should know that how the forces are going to go and resist it in terms of lateral forces and vertical forces. or gravity forces. Most important, don't ignore management and commercial issue. Although if you look at the level of competency, it is not to the highest level of competency, but we are expecting with the experience that you have, with minimum requirement of the experience for this particular position, this particular accreditation process. We are expected you to have certain idea of managing teams, certain ideas about communication, certain ideas about good communications, and certain ideas about commercial aspects of the projects. We are not expecting you to have full on risk assessment calculations, contingency calculations, man-hour calculations, machinery hours calculations. No, that's not expected. What is expected out of this is, when you look at a given project, what would be a rough order of magnitude design period, rough order of magnitude construction cost, what are the potential challenges in a given field or given project. You may not have experience into this, that's fine, but you should be aware of it. And then, as I said, be prepared to talk on your portfolio and whatever drawings you attach there, because it is expected that whatever you submit is what you have done as an individual, not as a team. So if you add in a drawing which is drafted by your technician team, that's fine, but you should be aware of what is written in that drawing, because it should be checked by you or it should be reviewed by you, and that's the only drawing that you should be attaching. No need to attach drawing published by your team and say that I contributed to this. That's not what we are expecting here. These are the tips for interview. There are a few more. As I said, computer analysis printouts, don't put that. You may be able to sketch something quickly to help explain your answer. So shear force bending diagram, some deflected shapes. It is advisable to practice it because based on, and then that too based on your own project, not that you are asked to write a theoretical question. No, that's not expected here. Based on the practical experience that you have, based on the documents that you have submitted, expect interviewers might ask you a question as how you see force is going to go into this particular project or this particular structure, and you should be able to answer that. Now, interviewers are there to get the right answer from you, and then they will ask you questions in multiple ways. There might be some leading questions, there might be some hinting questions. If they are not getting the right answer, they might ask you alternative questions, just to see that whether you understood the particular problem that you are putting into that particular submission. They are there to help you to pass. Take that in mind. It's not that interviews are there to fail you. They want you to pass the interview so that you go and appear for the test, right? But it's important that onus is on you to demonstrate your competency, right? If you just say that I have 30 years of experience and I go there, as if I know everything, and you unable to answer the questions, interviewers have no choice than to fail you, in spite of you being, fantastic structure engineer, right? So it's onus is on you, that you as a candidate, that you prepare yourself, pull together the document that is concise, precise, and you should be able to demonstrate that, yes, you are involved into that. Some questions that might come handy for you, that, if you see here, what you do if you have this? And there might be some tricky questions about, certain bracing systems you might have provided for the building engineers or some bridge engineers. You might have considered some bearings, and you might, question might come that how you replace these bearings. What is the design life that you have considered? Or for building structure engineers, it might be if you have some sort of a shear wall and suddenly there is an opening, what could be the option available? They might ask you a question that, can you give an example of certain things which you have written there in portfolio document? Could be a question of, tell us how you make sure that the stability of the building is established. And then they will ask you, because it's a continuous learning process. So continuous professional development, CPD, right? So you might be asked question that, okay, based on the information that you have submitted, what do you see where you need additional help to grow your career? That might be a question. Any technical meetings that you may not have attended, there might be a question asked if you have presented that in your portfolio document, right? Because interviewers are not going to ask you questions about your career because they don't know. They will ask you questions which are covered in that portfolio document, which justifies that you have done all the levels, competency level, and for all the 12 core objectives that we have, or core attributes that we have. So I hope I made reasonably clear about what to expect and what not to expect in interview. It is simple. It is nothing to worry about per se, as long as you know that the document that you submitted, you stand by it, and you know that the reasons what you have mentioned there are you are not you have an aware of it, you have a knowledge of it, then it is pretty straightforward. So next thing after you pass the interview is the examination. Right now, examination, because structural engineering is such a vast field, what we have looked at is the examination will have questions from these varied areas, because the people who are applying for this accreditation program may not be only bridge engineers, may not be only buildings engineers. They might have been working in industrial structures, transmission towers, might be doing just airports, stadiums. So the questions will be out of these areas, just to give you, help you as a candidate to get at least one question of your areas of expertise, so which will help you to answer the question correctly. The question will have two parts. Each part is important to answer. Each part we expect at least 40% marks, and then overall we are expecting about 60% marks. It's an open book examination, so you can carry whatever you want. Maybe you're, except the obviously computers. You can carry books, you can carry your notebooks, you can carry your, files where you have collated all the necessary data required for answering questions, sketches, all that. You can carry that in that interview, and you can open it and answer based on that, no issues. So it's as good as working in a consulting firm organization, like a day of a consulting firm where you are providing a solution. And then, as I said, there will be questions from all these areas. You have to answer only one question, two parts of one question. So you have to answer only one question. So you have about 7 hours for answering that, with a 30 minutes lunch break. That's how the exam will be set. So you will come around, in a good time. You will be then given a paper. You are not expected to write, paper to read. So then you can choose the question that you want to answer. Around 9:30 exam will start, and then you will be starting answering the question, part A and part B of that question. There will be a lunch break. You are not allowed to discuss what you have been writing on your solution with other candidates. Expected no writing and no reading during that period of lunch. Half an hour lunch break, and then you will again start writing the remaining part of the question paper. And at 7, you are at 17, which is 5 o'clock in the evening, exam finishes. So it's basically 7 hours, one question, 2 parts, 40% marks minimum for both parts, and overall 60% marks. It's open book exam, so nothing to, unlike you mug up for the exams that we conduct, that are conducted into in universities. That is not expected. You are a professional engineer. You have done fair bit of engineering yourself, and you're not expected to be to know everything, which is fair, and that's why all these open book exams. But there comes a responsibility as a professional engineer that you come prepared. If you bring in too much of a data with you, you may not be able to use it. So that's why my preference for or my suggestion would be go through the the question set that you might want to answer, get some preliminary calculations ready, similar question sets in the past. If not, then you can reach out to your colleagues, your mentors to help you there. Come prepared with some sketches, because that's expected out of exam, that you prepare you have a scaled sketches as part of the answer sheet. Come prepared for writing a letter. Writing means literally writing, not typing, obviously. Come prepared for giving some quick calculations. Could be portal frame, could be Virindial girder, could be a bridge with cable stays. Simple hand calculations for that, because you are not expected to run computer programs. It's open book, as I told you. Paper will be given. I think we have covered most of it. Paper will be set by a panel of eminent experts. So the questions that the paper will have, there will be 6 to 7 questions in a paper. Each question will be having at least 1 or 2 eminent experts in that field. So if it is a bridge question, maybe 1 or 2 eminent bridge engineers will pull together a live problem into that question set, because it is always good to have live problems in the question set, because we know the solutions. But there might be some hypothetical question as well. It's not that it's every time it's live, but most of the time it will be a live question. And professional eminent planners will set this question set. Rest of it I've told you. Exam starts, I think it's repeated here. What is critical is no electronic and no Wi-Fi enabled devices, right? You are in a consulting firm organization, spending 7 hours with half an hour lunch break and answering 1 question. The invigilator for the exam, he or she may not know about structural engineering. They might know, they might not know. But they may not be able to explain, give you any solutions, or in fact, they may not be able to even guide you interpretation of the question. So if you feel that certain questions are unable to interpret, or certain questions have ambiguities, state those ambiguities in your answer sheet. State your assumptions into your answer sheet, saying that this is not provided, so hence I am assuming this. Because then when the examiner checks the paper, he or she would know that what are your bases, and they would definitely know that if you are assuming certain things which are given in the exam, given in the question, and then you are sort of diluting it, that's not accepted. The questions will have certain client requirements. Questions will have certain structural challenges or structural limitations in terms of headroom, in terms of floor to floor height in buildings, maybe clear head pathways for the roads and the bridges, maybe certain configuration of the space truss in case of transmission tower. So you are not expected to dilute those requirements. The moment you dilute those requirements, it's automatic failure, because you are not following the client's brief. Take that question as a client brief. Right now, there might be some ambiguity, there might be some data which is missing. That's where you can provide assumptions, saying that X and XYZ data is missing, and I'm assuming bearing capacity is this much. Clear headroom is not provided for my building. I'm assuming 2.7 meter clear required for the office spaces, or bridge 4.5 meter, I'm assuming that that's the limitation. Because it is not provided, I'm assuming this is the limitation of 5.5 meter, depending on what you feel comfortable, right? You must pass both part A and part B. And most important for the exam, practice, practice, and practice. Once you go through the interview process, and once you have been told that you have been selected for the examination, I would encourage you to sit and solve at least 2 or 3 questions, sitting there in over the weekends. Sit there and solve and see what you can cover in 7 hours. Invariably, you may not be able to cover every part of every question, and that's that's a trick. You have to answer every question, right? Question, there is a part A and part B, and there is a part A will have a sub part A, B, C, or A 1, 2, 3, and B will also have sub parts. So one of the sub part will say that write a letter to client, and if you decide not to write a letter because you don't have time, you are losing significant amount of marks, and maybe sometime it is automatic failure because you are not done what you are expected to do. So time management is critical when you are writing the exam, and that's why practice is critical. If you practice and you see that in 7 hours what you can produce, then you can see where you can cut short. Sometimes it is, you can say that had time been provided, I would have done this. At least the examiner would know that you have thought through the problem. Paucity of time did not allow you to provide all the information, but you have picked up the key information, and then there is missing information that you would have done had you got the time, or maybe further information needed in this part which needs to be developed further in the next stage, or something of that sort, a leading answer. So that is critical, that what examiners will see is, have you identified the challenges in the question? Have you followed the client brief? Did you write the clear and crisp letter to the client? Have you identified the construction challenges and timelines on the construction? Because that's that will be one of the part of the question. And what would be there might be a question on which contract is advisable for this type of project. Then you might say, okay, red book, or traditional red book, or design build orange book, FIDIC orange book, FIDIC red book contract, or traditional. I think the red book is more of a traditional, but you could say that non-FIDIC, but client design, contractor build sort of contract. It might be a question on that. It might be a question on health and safety. There might be a question on timelines and draw some sort of a bar chart on the constructivity of it. Or there might be a question on what are the challenges that you see on constructing some sort of offshore platform. So depending on the question and depending on the client brief, the expectations would be different. So that's why practice is absolutely critical. Venue for interview and examination. This will be held in person mode and then located in all 4 metros. You will be notified about the location depending on which part of the country you are in. The nearest location you can choose, and it would be conducted in a consulting firm, one of the consulting firms, or ASE-IAStructE offices, depending on where you are. And then you will be given information about location, what time you should arrive. They may not be on the same day, obviously. Interview will happen at least maybe more than a month earlier before you will be given go ahead for the examination. You might have a result for interview, and then you might have just not ready for the examination. You might decide to have the next round, and that is something which is already communicated in ASE-IAStructE accreditation program booklet that is available on the ASE-IAStructE website. About maximum period and allowance of the clearance, its validity for 3 years. So you can read through this. There are clauses available in ASE-IAStructE website, the booklet for the accreditation program. You can, so once you're done, its validity is 3 years, and then you don't have to appear again for exam and interview. You're passed, that means you are accredited. But then you have to, if you're not passed, then suppose you pass the interview and not pass the exam, the interview is valid for 3 years. Within that period, you should apply for exam. And if you don't pass exam in that 3 years, then the entire process needs to be started again. So what will happen once you go through all this? You will be given a certificate which says accredited structural engineer ASE-IAStructE for 5 years for the first instance, and this may be extended for every 5 years. And obviously it is expected that once you become accredited structural engineer, you have signed up to ASE-IAStructe's continuous professional development program. And so there are forms that you need to continuously, yearly you have to fill in, and then you have to come up with certain, I think there will be about 30 hours or 40 hours of technical learning that you have to demonstrate that you have undergone. And then obviously you have to continue your ASE-IAStructE membership to be considered as accredited structural engineer ASE-IAStructE. So for today, this is it. Feel free to ask questions now. Professor Prem Krishna and Vikas, you can, we can start question answer.
There are a few questions in the chat box. Mr. Achut Ghosh says he saw somewhere 200 pages of write-up for that's the IPD. I think, yeah, that is that size of document that is expected.
Yeah, look, what we are looking for is not too much of a jargon into that portfolio document. And the easier you make it to the interviewers, the better it is.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to put in 500 page and you say that on 490 page, this is the information, the interviewer, if you are an interviewer, and we all are experienced engineers, you happen to be an interviewer, you will find lost in that huge document. So 200 page seems okay. I'm not expecting to be more than that. And concise and precise it is, the better it is.
And then he's asking about, would there be a dossier for the interviewers?
Yes, the how to conduct interview. Yes, that is there. And why I told about this. I touched base on that. So why it is critical is we don't want interviews to happen haphazardly, because your interviewers will be different. And what we don't want is somebody interviewing a candidate in a manner which is perhaps not acceptable, or a manner which is very diluted. And it's important that we are at par. So there is a dossier which the interviewers will have.
Will lunch be provided? I can promise you, Mr. Ghosh, lunch will be provided. I'm sure the design office will manage that. Then there's a question, what will be the,
there's one question.
One question and two parts. Can you please explain a bit more?
Yes. So see, any question that you see, as I said, there will be varied areas of questions. So you can choose only one question of it. No need to answer multiple questions, but you'll not have time anyway. So the question will have part A and part B. Part A will consider that you provide two distinct and viable solutions, for a given problem that you have set up in that question. So question, consider that as a client brief and give two options to the client, which is telling him or telling her that based on your brief, these are two options that I come up with as a structural engineer. Then you write why one option is better than other option, right? That's and then tell client about your recommendation, why one option. Both are your options, both are valid, both are distinct and viable, but you need to tell that maybe this option is a cheaper, maybe this option has less embodied carbon, maybe this option is faster for construction, and so on and so forth. Right, you write that and you inform this to client, and there will be a letter that you need to write to client about why certain option, which option he or she should choose. Then there will be an expectation that if client decides to change certain things, not that client is asking you to change, but if he decides to change certain things out of the the design brief, what are the implications on those two options that you have? So there will be a letter that you need to write to clients saying that if you decide to add 2 more floors on a given building, these are the implications. Or if you decide to increase the rating of vehicle, rating of a bridge. Now, suppose your bridge is designed for whatever HA, HB loading, or maybe in IRC, whatever. I don't know IRC loading conditions, but suppose you design for certain bridge and you are expected to have higher load on that bridge. What would be the implications on the design? You are not expected to change the design. You just write a letter. What are the implications, right? So that's your first question, the first part. The second part is the chosen question or chosen option that you have proposed to the client. You need to do more details of it, which means you have to do some calculations, some key element design, like bridge. If it is bridge, it's a pier design. If it is building, it is a column, beam, shear wall design, stability system, and then some hand calculations, simple, WL square by 8 is accepted, but not always. If you're looking for a truss, expected to have some sort of truss analysis. If you are doing a portal frame, you are expected to get some bending moment shear force diagram for portal frame. You have open book. You already have that book with you, so you can use that. So basically, it is expected that you give a sound solution for the chosen option that you have suggested to your client as a design brief. And then based on that, you will pull together some sketches and some idea about construction, some timelines on construction, and that's about it. So the first part is more to do with distinct and viable solutions, letters, and then second part is detailing what you have chosen as your option. I hope I answered, Mr. Manohar.
So, Professor, before we proceed further, let me tell all of you that today we have changed the mode. We have changed the mode to the meeting mode and not as a webinar mode. So people can ask, just they can start their mic and ask the question. So that's what we want to have an interaction with all of you. So instead of putting the questions in the chat box, you can just raise the hand and start asking the question.
Right. Now, of course, there are some in the chat box.
Yeah. Let's cover that, and we can still keep going.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, also, if any of our esteemed panelists would like to come in and add a word here or there, they are most welcome.
No, it is going very well.
Yeah,
Mallikarjun, Mallikarjun has got a number of questions. So if you can ask directly, it will be easier for a discussion. So
there's one question. Yeah, there's one question from Mr. Vasant Kumar, and then we have I think Mallikarjun's. So let's look at Vasant Kumar's question.
What is the minimum number of pages in the portfolio? Look,
we have 12 attributes, right? So 12 attributes means 12 pages of the attribute, where you write that I have done this. For each of that, you will easily have 2 to 3 examples of why you say that, what the level at which you're saying that your competency is there for that particular attribute. So I'm assuming that one particular attribute with that single page and then supporting documents, maybe about say 5 documents or 5 or 10 pages, say. So 12 attributes, 120 pages roughly. So expected this to be about 120 to around 200 pages. That's reasonable.
Right. Then same question, continuation. Any sample or past question in the examination so that we will understand?
Yeah, we'll provide it. We'll provide it. Some set of sample question papers which we are preparing, and once they are ready, it will be available on our website.
So yeah, Mr. Vasant Kumar, this we started January this year, so there is no past question. What we are preparing as a panelist, we are preparing sample question sets, which will help the candidates to understand what sort of questions to expect. There's no past question because there's nothing. We just started on this.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Mallikarjun, I think.
Mr. Mallikarjun Swami, could you kindly come in and say your question, please, Mr. Swami?
My
Yeah, I think Mr. Anil Sharma wants to speak. Oh, yeah.
He's saying due to travel, I just joined.
This is
suggestion is that
we put it on the YouTube.
because written exam, if we are having the
No, we are unable to hear you, Mr. Mallikarjun.
Hello, can you hear?
Now, what
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
saying is,
for the interview, this is
can
question
we get this on
interviewing.
YouTube?
Yeah, because I just joined. I missed out the entire portion. I could not understand at the end. That's why I request.
No, you will have YouTube.
You will have it on the YouTube.
Okay.
Even all previous such interactions are there on YouTube. All the last 2 sessions that we had, they are on YouTube. So you can go through that at your leisure.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Anil Sharma, please come in. Mr. Anil Sharma raised his hand, so. Mr.
Your
Sharma,
connection is not stable. So we're not able to hear you properly.
Suggestion is,
No.
my suggestion is, I mean,
we can't hear you.
and that will allow them to have the common question and assess him more together with the answer sheets.
Can you please put your question in chat box because the
Okay.
communication is not clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Vasant Kumar
Oh,
Can-
same. Okay.
has another question. This means that we should attend 2
Yes,
questions. in
yes,
each
absolutely.
part. Yes.
Both parts are critical. Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Sharma is asking a question. Perhaps he's going to put it.
No.
in the chat box.
One minute. Vijay.
Yeah.
This question is that means that we should attend the 2 questions in each part. No.
No.
Question will be one.
Just
and we
one
have to solve
question and 2 parts of that question. Just
Yeah,
one
we
question
have
you have to attend.
And you have to attend both the parts of one
Yes.
question.
Yes.
So
But
once
only
you
one question. Only one question.
right.
So effective.
all the parts will and all the sub parts will be related to that question.
That question. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Sir, this is Vasant Kumar again, sir.
Yes, Mr. Kumar.
Yeah, sir. Whatever the areas from which the questions will be asked in the examination, in that area we can choose any one question, and that question there will be 2 parts, part A and part B.
Correct.
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We are waiting for Mr. Sharma to.
Type a question, I think. Yeah.
In the meantime, any
Sharmaji,
other
you are on
questions?
mute. Sharmaji, unmute yourself. You are speaking, but you are.
So
on
I think
mute.
he's writing in the chat box.
Okay.
Noted. So my question is, my suggestion is that if we can have the written examination before we conduct the interview, and the answer sheet of the written examination is also available to the interviewer before they carry out the interview. So that will be beneficial.
This is an option we have thought of earlier.
I know.
But
I am late in
finally,
giving the suggestion.
After debating, we converged on to this one, that we have interview first and then the.
But throughout the academics and in the job selection, job interviews are everywhere. These are held after the written. Then interviews are conducted. This is
Sharmaji, no. Sharmaji, there is a difference here. See, this interview were taking to ascertain whatever the candidate is claiming that he is able to qualify all the 12 attributes. So that only we are verifying through the interview. We are not going to cross question his. Suppose if you conduct the exam first, in the interview, we are not going to ask or correct his answer sheet or give any hints, corrections to him.
And
This interview is mainly
I
the
got you.
purpose of the interview is completely different. It is just to assert. Yeah.
Mr. ASE-IAStructE, I got your point. I got. If that be so, then after the written examination, then again that interview board should be able to cross question the.
I think we're fine. That's as I said. These are the two alternate. This option is available, and we have discussed it and converged onto the one that we are now suggesting. But we'll keep your suggestion in mind.
Yeah, in mind.
Let us get started with
Yes.
the process and let's see how it goes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the suggestion.
All right. So let there be two interviews, one after the exam, one before the exam.
No. Again, this activities are totally different. The purpose are completely different from each other.
I agree with Mr. ASE-IAStructE.
Okay, let's get started with the process.
Yeah.
I want to see it getting started.
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Thank you.
We are all very keen. So those were the questions. Is there anything else? And maybe Mr. Bhaumik, would you like to add anything?
I just wanted to sort of mention that, based on the presentation given by Mr. Abhijit, I think all the participants would have understood by now that basically, for anyone to go through this process of accreditation, firstly, he has to be a rounded professional who has not only skill in the technical, the engineering part, but also should have some knowledge and some experience on the managerial part, on the commercial aspect of consultancy, and also on his personal commitments and the soft skills. That is number one, and which, as Mr. ASE-IAStructE just now pointed out, that through interview, this part will be assessed, the 12 key attributes. Second, in any one of the subject area, he should have deep knowledge, because that is the basis for qualifying in the exam. And when I say deep knowledge, it's not just the technical knowledge, but at the same time, all aspects of engineering of that particular subject area, which may include the conceptual design part. Today I have seen many young engineers, they are so focused on one particular part of structural design that they miss the overall holistic concept of design. So when I'm saying that he has to be good in a subject area, he has to be good from the concept holistically in that area, from the concept, from the broad sizing, the gut feeling. So you have to prepare yourself in those directions. So I would say that even when you evaluate yourself through these 12 key areas, and you may find that maybe you are falling short, but at least there is already some skill development is being taking place when you read through these requirements. So that in which direction you have to upgrade your skill to become a rounded professional and a good structural engineer.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Mittal Saab.
Okay, so no, I think everything has been covered, but I just want to say that there might be basically two types of candidates. One who has done a lot of works in the professional field, and they have all kinds of experience, and they are good in all attributes. So for them, this will be a very enjoyable experience, and I don't think there will be any problem for them in clearing the interview and written examination if they are really working adequately in the professional field. Number two, there might be some candidates who are relatively young. So for them, it will be a learning experience, and maybe it will serve as guiding them, and they will be preparing themselves for the future. They may not be able to clear in the first go, but probably but with proper mentorship and through the guidance, they will be able to achieve this. They will able to qualify this examination. So I think for all structural engineers, this will be a very good platform to demonstrate their skills and get this kind of a certification. So I think we should promote it very vigorously, and engineers should not hesitate in applying for this certification. It may not be mandatory; it is just optional. But gradually it will be accepted by all government authorities. We will also do a lot of publicity, and we will approach all government departments and public sector companies and other stakeholders. So I think it will be a good experience, and it will be good for the society, for the engineering fraternity, for everyone. That's all I want to say.
I think you're on mute, Prem Krishnan.
I am. Yes, well, thank you very much, Mr. Saab, and we all agree with what you said. I'm sure we are looking at, looking to start this, and I'm sure it will catch up fairly quickly once we get started with the process. So let me then thank you, first of all, Mr. Kulkarni, for the presentation, and then all our panelists, Mr. Mittal, Mr. Alok Bhaumik, Mr. ASE-IAStructE, and all of you who have kindly joined us in this meeting, logged into this meeting, spending a part of your Friday evening time with us. We're thankful to you for sparing your time to be with us. Let me wish with this, wish this program a beginning sooner than later. And,
Yeah, I think we have to start the process, and that's critical.
Yeah.
Yes. So with that, I thank you again, and
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Yes.